Today, feels like everyone is making a fried chicken sandwich, right? I half expect them to start selling them at Magnolia Bakery or J. Crew, come in a little corduroy sack. Well, the iconic brand that invented the fried chicken category is fighting to own it in that era of fierce competition. From modernizing menus to collaborating with franchise partners around the world, Scott Mezvinsky, CEO of KFC Global, joins us now to reveal the global strategy behind KFC's evolution and why the world's appetite for chicken has never represented a bigger opportunity. Please welcome Scott and the WSJ's Kate Linebaugh.
Thank you. All right. Awesome. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah. Scott, you have been at KFC for about a year and a half.
Year and a half, but I started in 2004. Spent 17 years in KFC in positions all over the world, literally. And then I had the pleasure, prior to this role, being at Taco Bell for 4 years, which is also part of Yum Brands, obviously.
What DNA from Taco Bell are you bringing to KFC?
I think they do a lot of things well, and it was really a privilege to learn from that group. And Sean Tresvant, their CEO, I think they're connected to culture as good as anybody, which is something I know that we can apply not just in KFC across the world, where we're in 150 countries. So there's an opportunity for us to apply some of that same thinking and how we connect with culture and be relevant for consumers across the world. And then innovation. I don't think anyone does better in food on innovation than Taco Bell, and something that we're challenging our KFC teams all over the world to do as well.
But KFC is more of a global brand now than a U.S. brand. In fact, it's shrinking in the U.S. Why have Americans fallen out of love with KFC?
Yeah, making sure that we're relevant for the consumer. First of all, when I got this job 14 months ago, the first thing I did was put Catherine Tan in as president, because I think I think we can get the share back. And having the right team is where it starts. So Catherine has rebuilt her team and is really starting to make sure that she has the comeback plan, the U.S. comeback plan, that's going to be making sure that we're more relevant with our consumers in the U.S. across different formats, how we modernize the assets, the product, the price, and the promotion. So those would be kind of her plans. Outside the U.S., I think we've been a little bit done a better job of staying more relevant and more modern with the consumer. It doesn't mean we can't continue to modernize and continue to stay relevant, but we are in a much better position outside the U.S. than inside the U.S.
What went wrong?
Not keeping up with the consumer. The one thing that we always turn to is the consumer. And if you're not looking at the consumer and you're not staying focused with the consumer obviously gravitated towards boneless in a bigger way before we did. So it's one of those things that we're trying to play catch up now, but we feel that we have the right brand. The brand is still very powerful in the U.S. I use the anecdote that last year when we brought back our wedges, we did one tweet.
Potato wedges.
Potato wedges, yeah, sorry. We did one tweet, said, "Here, damn." And we got 50 million likes in 1 week. We were second on the internet that week to Taylor Swift's new album. So we're in good company. And we got 80 million likes overall. I think that shows the power of the brand, and we connect with our consumers and listen to our consumers. But the consumers were demanding that we bring back potato wedges. So we did it in a cheeky way. And it's just an example of how powerful the brand still is.
Bringing something back, though, is different than kind of meeting new things that are coming out from consumers. Like, how are you able to keep pace?
Yeah, there's a concept called Saucy that we've launched in the U.S., Saucy by KFC, which is our way of saying, look, how do we go all the way forward? What is the most relevant products? How do we really push and challenge ourselves? If we were to start KFC from potentially scratch, what would it look like today? It's sauce forward. It's different colors. It's more modern colors. It's still finger looking good.
And what is a modern color?
Pink. Okay. So it's pink, not red.
Sort of the red and the white together.
Gen Z loves pink. So that's how youthful. The concept now skews towards Gen Z in a much bigger way than our existing brand. So those are things that you're going to start seeing. You won't necessarily see that concept all over the world, but what you'll see is some of the learnings that we're taking from that concept: bigger, crispier tenders, more sauces done in a way that's exciting, not just not just a traditional barbecue sauce, but having a naming convention that attracts consumers. You will see some pink tones in our brand.
I did ask my 15-year-old last night, what I should ask you, and sauces was what he said.
Well, that's good. We're on trend. So sauces you're going to see a lot, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S. A lot of innovation
KFCs or in
KFCs, yeah.
In the concept.
The concept is showing us, I think, what's possible and how we can really lean in. But you're going to see more sauces on the U.S.
So is that a clear part of how you're going to fix it?
It certainly plays a role. Tenders, having the best tenders, is something that we think we can have the best tenders and own it, is part of that as well. So it all goes back to having the best tasting product. We're in a food world. People come to us because they like to be craveable. We think the original recipe is still the best chicken recipe out there, and that we can apply it in different formats.
And if you had to eat from one of your competitors, Chick-fil-A, Popeyes, Jollibee, Raising Cane's, what would you pick?
If I had to eat at one of my competitors, that's a tough question because I'm not sure I eat at my competitors. But
would you like to?
I would. No. In all seriousness, we eat in all of our competitors because we want to see what's going on at each of our competitors, all over, both in the U.S. and outside the U.S. So when I travel outside the U.S., I'll eat a lot of chicken. Not just our own. Yeah.
At what point do you think we'll have too much fried chicken?
Not anytime soon, based on the trends. If you look at the data, and you guys, we all feel it because you see the proliferation of it. So I think chicken is the fastest growing protein all over the world. It is certainly showing up in the U.S. in lots of different concepts and formats, and we like to think that we're the original chicken player. We still think we're the chicken king, so we welcome the world. Oh wow, that's great.
Hold on, could you bring that over here?
Yeah, you want some chicken with me?
Yeah. Let's have some chicken. Yeah. Will you have some?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Are you a leg guy or a?
You're the original recipe. Okay. I'm going to drive right into the original recipe.
Okay. Could I have a napkin?
Usually there's napkins.
Yeah. I'm going to eat some of this.
Yeah.
So this was in Love Story a lot. Cheers. Cheers. Love Story. Yeah. You have to take a big bite now, don't you? Like you can't take a little mini bite anymore.
I mean.
One of your competitors.
Yeah. My mom always told me not to eat in front of people, but.
I know. I'm
doing it.
All right. So, are you going to make any tweaks to this recipe?
No.
No.
This is the original recipe. This is the way the Colonel did it 75 years ago. You don't.
There's some water.
Yeah. There's a reason why we're still here as a brand and strong 75 years later, and it's because one person had a vision for what his recipe could do. He didn't have any money, but he had a recipe, and this recipe continues to be sold all over the world and is perfect.
Now, some people here may have watched the, I think, Netflix series Love Story with JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette, and there's a lot of Kentucky Fried Chicken in there. Was that a product placement deal?
It was not, which again, it shows the power of the brand. It's just a part of culture. It's a part of Americana, and everyone from JFK Jr. on to hopefully most people in this room have enjoyed fried chicken and enjoyed KFC. So it's a great product. You've
got some nods out there, man.
Yeah,
people are jealous.
They're
can
seeing
share
this right now.
Bucket afterwards. Yeah. There's a lot in here. Bones, you're sticking with bones.
Yeah, yes. So when the consumer tells us where to go, we follow them. We don't have chicken on the bone in every market across the world. We'll let the consumer decide. If consumers want chicken on the bone, we'll give them chicken on the bone.
Where do they not want chicken on the bone?
There's some markets in Europe. There's some markets in South America, Brazil, for example, where we don't have chicken on the bone. We have wings. That's kind of a hybrid, but it's where we follow the consumer. We listen to the consumer. Yeah. As long as the consumer wants chicken on the bone, we'll give them chicken on the bone.
I feel like maybe on stage, the chicken tender might have been better, but
this is more classic.
More classic, yeah. Okay, but the classic piece of this, you want to change it and adapt it, but you can't alienate your core customer.
It's an and. So we will have the best tenders and do have the best tenders. So I was talking to someone backstage, and what do they like? They like the chicken tenders, and we have great tenders. We have original recipe tenders. that are awesome. It's the same OR flavor, original. Sorry, I start talking lingo. Original recipe flavor in a boneless format. As I said, there's gonna be more sauces to dip into. We also in the U.S. have extra crispy.
When are we going to get the sauces?
The sauces are launching soon. Yes. Yeah, you'll
What's
hear about
your
them.
hope?
You'll hear about them very soon.
Come on, preview it a little bit.
But the marketing team would kill me if I outrun them on when they're going to make the news. So.
And those people are scary.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are,
Okay.
One thing I've learned is not to get on that side.
What is the secret for KFC in the rest of the world? You're growing there, but not here.
Yeah. So last year we opened over 2,000 or just under 2,000 net restaurants. So across the world there was 3,000 gross restaurants, which is how many we opened, which was a record for us. Nearly 2,000 net restaurants. We built over the last 5 years nearly 10,000 restaurants. So the growth of KFC is massive because consumers love the product all over the world. We will continue to lean into that. We'll continue to follow consumer habits and trends, and making sure that we continue to have the most relevant product for them and build restaurants where they want to be. So it's a massive growth story for us all over the world. We're in 150 countries.
What from out there can you bring back here?
There's a lot that we learn from each other. So the U.S. provides direction to the rest of the world, and then there's best practices that we try to. What we try to do is we try to export and amplify some best practices all over the world. We just, for example, had 500 people in our offices in Dallas last week, primarily marketers, development folks, and franchisees, all talking about how they're bringing KFC in the most modern, relevant way to life in their part of the world. There was great examples from our Middle East business. There was great examples from our UK business. There was great examples from Australia. And so it's one of the things I'm trying to bring as CEO is how do we take good ideas that are happening maybe in one market and making sure that it becomes exported and amplified all over the world. So you're going to see more of that.
I think it was the Yum CEO told us that they've brought sandwiches that do well overseas to the U.S. market, and they haven't taken off. Why do you think that is?
Yeah. I think you can't just take good ideas and say they're going to work everywhere. I think, again, it goes back to understanding where your brand is positioned in each market. How do they grow into where they need to go? So if sandwiches weren't as relevant in the U.S., it's going to be hard just to take a sandwich with no equity, no brand equity from outside the U.S. It was called the Zinger, which is big outside the U.S. No one in the U.S. knew what the Zinger was. So if you bring a product that's branded, now I think, in hindsight, you could have branded it a KFC spicy chicken sandwich. You could have done something like that was consistent with what made it work outside the U.S., but apply it to the U.S. specifics.
Yeah, it's interesting because you have a long history of working overseas.
Yeah.
In Russia, in Spain, in Europe.
Yeah, Spain and Latin
What have
America.
you learned out there that makes you a successful leader here?
Yeah, one, I think people love winning all over. So if you inspire people around a vision and focus them on the strategy, and they will move mountains for you because everyone likes to be part of a winning brand and a winning concept. And I think one of the things I'm trying to do as CEO of KFC is provide a clarity on vision and strategy for the world, and making sure that our franchisees are inspired. We have business units all over the world today, making sure that they're inspired, but more important that we're focused on the same things, because I do think we have a lot more similarities as cultures and as consumers than differences. So for us at KFC, it's how do we dominate in chicken, how do we modernize our brand, and then how do we accelerate our growth? And those will be things that you'll hear folks all over the world talking about.
Let's talk about AI and automation. How long until we see a KFC with no humans in it?
Never. There will never be a KFC with no humans, because we still think we know that we're in the hospitality business, and you're going to want to have human connections. So where we will have automation is probably on the areas that we don't touch, humans. So back of house production, breading the chicken and cooking the chicken. Long term, I think there will be more automation there, assembling the product, But what we really want to do is invest in making sure that we give great hospitality to our customers and that they get greeted with a smile, that they get recognized when they come in, acknowledged when they come in. And so it's how do we leverage technology to make us more efficient, but at the same time, never forget that we're in the hospitality industry.
In thinking about automating and bringing more automation to the process, how do you get your franchisees on board?
Well, franchisees are pretty easy to get on board. Everything has a business case to it. They will get on board. So it's up to us to make sure that we have the right business case. And if there's not a business case, we wouldn't do it. Now, the business case sometimes can be not as easily explainable. So how do we make sure that we're making them more efficient as an organization, taking care of consumers, and ultimately any capital that we ask our franchisees to invest, we don't ask them to invest capital that we don't think will be returning capital.
What about AI in corporate?
Yeah, there's going to be lots of applications for it. I'm still learning all the applications and use cases.
Do you have any AI agents?
I do not. My comms team keeps threatening that they're going to have an AI agent that's going to speak like me. So I don't know, or write like me. So I think that's coming.
Oh, wow, right, yeah.
So maybe I won't have to write my own emails soon.
All right. In Yum's quarterly call last week, they mentioned, accelerating restaurant economics across key markets, including these prefabricated restaurants in Chile.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, so I was in Santiago and I went and visited that restaurant. It's one of our big franchisees in South America, Serrano Group. They've taken the manufacturing of their restaurant to a factory. So they assemble it they build it at the factory, ship it on big trucks, and then basically can assemble it in 2 weeks once on site. So one of the advantages of it is you can get the permits easier. You can have once you have the land, if the restaurant's already built, you can build it in 2 weeks versus 3 months.
Are you going to bring that elsewhere?
If it makes sense, again, everything goes back to if there's a business case and for it, then we will do that. And that's one of the things that they're experimenting with in Chile. I think they need to get capacity to build as many restaurants as we build across South America. But if it makes sense, yes, we'll do that.
Okay. So now I'm going to just say a word, and then I want to hear if you think it's a big deal and why or why not, all right?
Okay.
Okay. Well, we've talked about this already, but let's just do this. Sauces.
Sauces are a big deal. It's where your 15-year-olds go, and your 15-year-old is no different than most modern consumers. They want not just the protein, but they want to have fun with it and dip it and dunk it and drip it. So it's one of the things that we're going to be doing is applying sauces in different ways. As I said, you can have a whole sandwich drenched in sauces. You can have a good sauce cup and dip it. There's lots of areas you can play with sauces. That gets me excited also because it's pretty easily operationally to make a reality as well.
Plant-based chicken.
I don't think that's a big deal. I think it had its day. That seems to be over.
Lab-grown meat.
I don't think that's a big deal. I hope it's not. Yeah.
Affordability.
Affordability is and always will be important in our category. That's one thing that I've learned in the 22 years I've been in the business, across brands, across markets. Everyone wants to have a good value for money. That may mean different things to different folks, but even we have data, even our high-income consumers are usually seeking a good value and good deal. So it's something that will always be relevant in our category.
How do you maintain margins with rising costs?
Yeah, I'm an ex-CFO, so this is up my alley. There's a lot of things you can do to make sure that you invest in the consumer, but also don't take away from the consumer, and where to look at areas to save money that the consumer won't notice. That's generally the playbook.
Okay.
Don't take away from the consumer.
GLP-1s.
Yeah, part of I think we'll see. I think it's part of a bigger trend around protein-forward, snackable meals. It's one of the things that we feel we're set up to do pretty well.
What do you feel about the bucket?
Chicken's pretty protein-forward. We can do smaller portion sizes with it. There's ways to make it, which also can hit the affordability piece as well. If you have a more snackable occasion, it's one of the occasions that's growing the fastest. So we feel that having protein on our menu is going to help us go with that trend.
Maha.
Yeah, well, Maha, I mean, we have government regulations in 150 countries, so we're not new to dealing with those and working through those. Europe is probably ahead of the U.S. On some of these things. We have lots of stores in Europe. We have lots of products in Europe, so we'll be able to adjust and adapt as needed.
Sustainable packaging.
We have sustainable packaging. We have an annual report that that we produce that shows all the great things we're doing on sustainability. We will continue to help lead that. Again, Europe, I think, one of the, you talked about how we take ideas from parts of the world, and I was more focused on the consumer ideas, but one of the areas, Europe helps lead, and we do business in Europe of where generally the world's going on sustainability and other trends that allows us to be more prepared for it when it does come to the U.S.
Fuel prices.
They'll go up, they'll go down. We've dealt with that before. I've been around long enough to have different prices of fuel in the industry. The category does well, whether they're up or down. We've proven, again, over the 75 years that we can deal with different economic climates.
Does anybody out there have a question they'd like to ask? There's one right here in the front. I don't know if we have any mics, I guess. I didn't alert them that I was going to do this, so let's, I don't know. Oh, here she comes. Haley, who brought the chicken. Yeah, sorry.
By the way, there is a nugget. It's boneless if you want that.
Oh, there's some nugget?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Help yourself.
Easier.
You've talked a lot about chicken, but do you ever wake up and you're like, actually, I can't eat chicken today. I've had too much in the past.
No, I do not. As evidenced by this, but I mean, it's a great tasting product. Who doesn't like? I mean, I have a very fortunate job. I get to eat fried chicken for my job and to kind of test some of the new products coming out and see it all over the world. So,
what does your cardiologist say?
Cardiologist, so far so good. So,
okay.
I do try to work out as well, but yeah, I'm in good health.
Any other questions? Oh.
I'm interested in how you deal with labor today. You can't just keep rising the wage. You have to train, you have to attract. What are your secrets for keeping your best employees?
Yeah, that's a great question, because at the heart of what we do, interacting with the consumers, is our team members. Fortunately, we have a lot of great franchisee partners throughout the United States and elsewhere that work with making sure that we do train to be prepared, that we do have the right model, and we have a lot of tools. And when you have 3,500 restaurants and each restaurant has probably 20 to 30 employees, you get pretty good at understanding who makes a good team member, how to take care of those team members and make sure that they're a good representation of your brand.
The nugget is decidedly spicier. It has a little more zip,
Yeah.
I'd say.
I can tell you technically why that is.
Please. I'd love to hear it technically.
This is my layman's person of the technical, so I'm not a QA person. It's because it's smaller, so you get more breading versus the meat. So it's the same flavor as the chicken that you had, but
it's the pepper. There's more pepper to it.
Per bite.
What do you look for in fried chicken?
I looked for the color. You can see how this is a bit golden. I look at the crispiness. I look to make sure it's cooked all the way through.
That's important.
Consistently. I always taste it. Make sure that it tastes like it should. Sometimes there's some people that are much better at me that can identify if there's something wrong with like the water back of house or the cooking temperature. So we get very technical about making sure that we have the best tasting chicken on every bite.
How did this rate?
This was a 10. It was
10?
good.
10 out of 10?
This was good.
I'd say 10 out of 10. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Let's give it up for Scott. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.